Welcome to episode 61 on the law report. Today I'm going to discuss the topic if increasing the severity of punishment deter criminals. And in this episode I am going to look at a document that was published way back in 2016 by Nagin and others, and it is entitled Deterrence in the 21st Century in Crime and Justice, a review of research, volume 42, Crime and Justice in America. And in a previous episode I touched on this document briefly when I asked the question if harsher penalties or stiffer penalties for gun related offenses deter gun crimes. And in my limited research I found that the answer is a resounding no. Before I get into this document, my usual disclaimer: this is not legal advice, should not be construed as legal advice. For legal advice, please contact an attorney of your choice. Welcome back. I recently read an article in the newspaper that states that there have already been 11 homicides in the Turks and Caicos Islands for the year 2023. This is astonishing given the flurry of draconian laws that were passed in a hurry without proper debate and consultations in the Turks and Caicos Islands sometime late 2022. And I'm sure those who pass those laws and who suggest those laws had the best of intentions. But there's an old saying that intention alone without more don't always bring about the desired results. And so my mind cast back to an episode that I did on this very channel asking if stiffer penalties for gun related crime lead to a reduction in gun related offenses. And in my view the answer is a resounding no. We have seen that the passing or the amendment to the law where persons convicted of murder must now spend 30 years incarcerated before they are entitled to parole has a little or no effect. And crime and violence and murder are gun-related offenses. We have seen where the increase in the minimum mandatory sentence has little or no effect on gun-related crime in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And this increase in the minimum mandatory sentence was an amendment to the firearm ordinance. We have seen where the introduction of the anti-gang ordinance with some of the most draconian sentences has a little or no effect on crime and violence in the Turks and Caicos Islands, because in my view, crime and violence is not only a law enforcement issue, it's also a social construct. And that is why an article that I came across written by the Honorable as well as Skippins, in my view, is a very important and is a must read for not only the powers that be, but for the police force and those that are in charge, and for those who are suggesting these draconian laws as if that they are a means to an end. And so, in the light of all these developments, it is my view that this document by Daniel S. Nagin is very important, and I will discuss it shortly. The document is entitled Deterrence in the 24th Century in Crime and Justice, a review of research, volume 42, Crime and Justice in America. And it's a document that was produced in 2016, but it is, in my view, very relevant today. And it lists 5 important areas that came under consideration in trying to determine whether increase in the severity of punishment has any effect or any serious effect on crime, and what this document found, or what the author of this document found, is that 1, the certainty of being caught is vastly more powerful, or a vastly more powerful deterrent than punishment. So, what it shows is that the chance of being caught if you commit a crime is a more effective deterrent than any draconian sentence. What this means in a nutshell is that resources are better spent in upgrading and developing the capacity of the police officers, their investigative techniques, their skills, etc., rather than just relying on draconian laws alone. Because if criminals are fearful that if they commit crimes they will be caught, that in itself is a more powerful deterrent than any law. 2, sending an individual convicted of a crime to prison isn't a very effective way to deter crime. Prisons are good for punishing criminals and keeping them off the streets, according to this document. But prison sentences, particularly long sentences, are unlikely to deter future crime. Prisons actually may have the opposite effect. Inmates learn more effective crime strategies from each other, and time spent in prison may desensitize many to the threat of future imprisonment. And we have seen that across the Caribbean. Young persons are sent to prison not as a last resort but as a first option. And what happened? is that they come out hardened criminals. 3. According to the document, police deter crime by increasing the perception that criminals will be caught and punished. So when police do things that strengthens the criminal's perception of the certainty of being caught, that in itself has a more powerful effect on the minds of the prisoner rather than a long or the threat of a long sentence. A criminal behavior, according to the document, is more influenced by the presence of the police, by the effectiveness of the police, by the police conducting proper investigations, by the police presenting proper evidence, by the police when they investigate crimes, they build what we call a watertight case against criminals, which will ensure that they actually convicted. Because too many times in the Turks and Caicos Islands, the police arrests, they don't have evidence to charge. They charge, they don't have evidence to convict. And if they convict at first instance, it is overturned on appeal. But these developments go unnoticed and unreported. 4, according to the document, increasing the severity of punishment does a little to deter crime. Laws and policies designed to deter crime by focusing mainly on increasing the severity of punishment are ineffective, partly because criminals know little about the sanctions for specific crimes. More severe punishment do not scare individuals convicted of crimes, and prison may exacerbate reoffending. And this is true. There are many persons who are accused of committing crimes and they come to an attorney, and when you actually tell them of the penalty for the crime in which they are accused, some show total indifference, some had no clue, and they don't care. What they care about is if the police have evidence to make a case against them. And a lot of times the police don't. And that is the deal breaker for most people who are accused of committing crimes, not the length of sentence. It bothers them not. And according to the article number 5, there is no proof that the death penalty deters criminals. But in our case, I do not have to address this issue for the fact that the death penalty have been abolished in this country for many years. When the death penalty was abolished in England and Wales, effectively it was abolished in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and while other Caribbean countries still have it on their books, this is really being carried out. So in effect, the death penalty is ineffective because it is not being enforced. But in our case in the Turks and Caicos Islands, there's no need to deal with it. Now, What I noticed in the Honorable Skipping's article, which I think is of paramount importance to those tasked with keeping us safe, is that they must consider the social construct when it comes to crime and violence in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Where are the young persons supposed to channel their energies? Where are the technical schools, for example? Where are the recreational facilities? Are there enough employment opportunities? Those are some of the issues that we need to actually focus on in tandem with the law. If we continue to ignore the social side of the issue and continue to pass laws which are ineffective, crime and violence will continue to surge in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Here is where I will leave it for today. Thank you for watching. If you gathered anything useful from this episode, please like, share, and comment, and I will see you in another episode.